And good afternoon, everyone. This is State of the Arts NYC, and this is your host, Savannah Bailey McLean. And I'm very pleased to have in the studio with us Tyreek McDole. Thank you so much for coming, Tyreek.
Thanks for the invitation.
You're welcome. And Tyreek is a jazz vocalist primarily, but I'm sure you sing other types of music as well. He's young, he's only 23, and he recently won first place in the Sarah International Jazz Competition. So congratulations on that.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. And you're only the second male to win that competition in 12 years, correct?
That's correct.
And I got a chance to listen to some of your music. I think we're going to start to play a little bit because you have this really amazing velvety type of voice. That's the best way. And I know you've been compared to Billy Eckstine, but I love your version of Lush Life by the late Johnny Hartman. And what's so great about that music is that it's just so rich with so much potential in it. And I think today we're missing so much of that beauty in our music. And jazz, unfortunately, though it's America's music, is still underappreciated by most Americans. How do you feel about that, jazz being so underappreciated?
I think for the most part that most people just haven't been exposed to it.
Okay.
So this was the popular music of the day, let's say 1930s or 1950s. All those are still popular musics at the time, but they had places where you could be social and participate with the music. So you'd go down to the club, listen to Charlie Parker potentially, or Cannonball Adderley, or Johnny Hartman, or Sarah Vaughan herself. You could see these people and be a part of the community in a club. But now, unfortunately, with things like inflation and just technology changing
and
rent exactly. So with all these things combined, it's just there's less places to actually see the music and participate in it. Thus, just knowledge about what it is begins to dissipate as well.
Wow. And we're going to end some of that music that we were listening to because it really is quite beautiful. But I want to talk about that because I never thought about it quite that way before, and that participatory aspect of jazz. It's about going to the club. It's about hearing the singers, getting to know them perhaps, having conversations with them. That's what's lost because the Blue Note, I've been to the Blue Note a few times, and the experience is not the greatest. You're packed into this tiny club, and you're struggling to see the act. You're struggling to hear the act. There's all these people hovering around, and I never thought about it, is that the club experience has not, it's not as good as it used to be, and that's actually impacting it. So thank you for bringing that up. What else have you observed when it comes to, jazz and live performance?
And I think that's true, at least on the tip about the Blue Note. That's true for some venues. But there's other venues that are doing a great job of it. I feel like Dizzy's Jazz at Lincoln Center is doing a great job of it. They have a pretty expansive floor, great service. Same with a new club that's opened by the great drummer Rodney Green in Teaneck, New Jersey, called Brush Culture. Yeah, I implore you guys to check that out. That's one of my favorite spaces. But I think that's just one symptom of why this music hasn't been exposed. I think there's also, just beyond a social space to participate in it, people aren't dancing to the music like they used to be dancing to. There was a whole swing dance era. There's Lindy hopping. There's plenty of social activities to participate with this music, but it seems like because those have gone away, now there's just it's more of an intellectual experience. So you're kind of just sitting for the most part. Though I think even then that's not entirely true because there's plenty of acts that implore you to dance and sing and clap. Like we take a Kenny Garrett, we take a Theo Croker, even like Wynton Marsalis and the Jazz at Lincoln Center Orchestra. There's plenty of musics to participate in. It's just the notion and the idea of what jazz is hasn't been spread enough, in my opinion.
I like that because I think of Wambua. He's another jazz artist where he has this whole band, 12 people, and a tap dancer. And a few years ago, his publicist begged me, pleaded with me, please, Savannah, go listen to him. We were in that tiny club, Bitter End.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, on West 4th or West 3rd, Bitter End, and that's a tiny spot. And I was there for the Winter Jazz Festival.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I'm here. And they blew everyone away. And as tiny as it was, people were rocking in their chairs, beating the tables. He took everyone's breath away. And when their set was done, folks was like, who is he again? Everybody was asking, like, who is this guy, you know? And it was fabulous. And, and we did that St. Nick's Pub, which is now gone in Harlem. I went to African Night where they had an African Night, and I'm telling you, that place was tight. And people were rocking in their chairs. But you're right, that maybe that is what's missing, the participatory aspect of music. To do swing dancing, now that would be really hard. You have to have a big venue in which to do that. But I've taken some swing dancing lessons, and you're right, that really makes a difference. Wow, I never thought that. You're very wise for someone very young. So have you always loved jazz?
Yeah, I've always been a fan of this music. I think, whether you call it jazz or not, it's all Black American music, and I think that's all great and amazing. But yeah, folks like Louis Armstrong and folks like Miles Davis, and just those two artists alone, there's so much music and so many different styles. All of that really inspired me to participate in music. I look at all these folks that look a lot like me, Miles Davis, Sarah Vaughan, Johnny Hartman, they're all Black folks. So I didn't really have a lot of role models, at least on the screen. Like I would watch a lot of TV growing up. So I kind of saw myself in them, and I saw how personable and how loved and how appreciated they are. And I thought that I could do that myself too, through music.
Wow. Then I think about the competitions that you have participated in, like essentially Ellington. I used to go to those competitions because I just thought it was great. And my youngest sister, went a couple of times too. And we were like, wow, look at this. This is great. And at the time, they wasn't even charging. You could just come and listen to all these bands and individual singers, and you saw new talent. And I thought that was a great way of making the genre, more alive for people. Did you feel the same way too?
For sure, yeah. If it wasn't for programs like Essentially Ellington, I wouldn't have known who a Duke Ellington was. And I probably wouldn't have started singing. That's actually the first instance where I sang in front of an audience that large before.
Wow. I'm seeing that certain traditions that people, used to engage in, they don't engage in anymore. For instance, my family, everyone in my family sang. From the littlest bit to the oldest person, we all sang. And you didn't sing to be a part of a competition. You sang for the love of singing. And we all sang in groups, different groups. And that was just a part of my growing up, singing. And then last year, towards the end of the year, I found out that Prototype, which is an opera festival, wanted to do this group sing on New Year's, shortly after New Year's Day. I think it was January 8th. And with Daniel Romaine, the jazz violinist, he was going to develop the music, and you could participate in this chorus. And I did. And everyone who did was saying the same thing. I miss singing. And so it gave people a chance to sing again, because the reasons we used to have for singing aren't there anymore. Are you finding that a little bit too, that it's getting harder and harder for people to participate in your genre because there's so few opportunities.
Yeah, I would say that's true for all the art forms, or at least all forms of music. No, I could speak that for arts too. Just in general, America seems to appreciate the arts less and less. Thus, we see it less in schools. We don't really see it in community centers as much. If it wasn't for my band class, I wouldn't have had an introduction to what these instruments were or what any of this music was or who these people are. Like, I wouldn't have met a Wynton Marsalis. I wouldn't have gone to an Oberlin Conservatory. I wouldn't have thought that I could have a career in music if it weren't for those programs. So I think America can think twice and start to invest back into the arts and potentially create more opportunities and help build its culture back up again.
And it shouldn't be just about money because I
Right.
think America just, goes a little bit overboard with wanting to monetize every single activity. Sometimes it should be just for the love of. It shouldn't just be for what money you can make off of that, wouldn't you say?
Right. It's just an unfortunate reality that money is a factor in many people's lives. And, just the idea that you could potentially have a career as a musician, that's a very privileged lifestyle, and I acknowledge that, and I'm super appreciative of all the folks and all the people who make this possible. But yes, I think it's rather unfortunate, but I think it doesn't make it impossible,
Right.
whether you have money or not. It's really about the love of the art and having people to show you that this is, a potential reality for yourself.
I think we have another clip, don't we? And we're going to play that so that people can hear because you do have this beautiful voice, and I think people need to know about it and follow you. Are there places where you perform regularly?
At the moment, not yet, but I do frequently perform all over New York. Oh, wait, I actually do host my own jam session at Penny Joe's.
Okay.
That's on 163rd and Broadway, and that's every Tuesday. So we go from 8:30 p.m. until late. It's an open session, so the house band plays a set. That's my house band. We play every week. And then in the latter portion of the night, anyone in New York City can show up. So I've had a ton of great musicians, phenomenal singers, poets come by.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a space that I love. And if
And
anyone's,
what is it called again?
it's called Penny Joe's.
Okay.
Yeah, that one's 21 and up.
Okay.
I will say that.
Okay.
But yeah, if anyone's interested in following me or where I might be performing next, you could just look at my website, TyreekMcDole.com. It's just my name. Or you could check me out on Instagram or any of my social medias. I'm on TikTok as well as Instagram.
Okay. All right. I like that. And you're doing that in Washington Heights, correct?
That's correct.
You live up there too, don't you?
I sure do.
All right. So, are you from New York? You're not. You're from out of New York, but you chose that community.
That's right.
Has that community embraced you?
I felt a lot of love from the New York community, especially the music community. Just coming into a new city can be really daunting. But to this day, I think I've only been here, 5, maybe 6 months, and already I've had a slew of friends. I met so many great people, and really we all just share a love and appreciation for music and for art. So finding that kind of community was a huge step in all the success that I have and continue to have.
Okay. We're going to stop that clip, but I just was saying that was really, a wonderful thing that you could perform kind of regularly, like a jam session in New York, because that used to be the norm in New York, where people could perform professionally, but then with other friends, they could do that late at night. They could just jam and just be themselves. So that's good to know that you could do that. What advice would you give to others who might want to consider music as a career?
That's a good one.
All right. We'll let you think about that for a moment.
Okay. I think I could start to ramble a little bit.
Okay.
I think whatever you do within music, do it with love. And make sure that it's earnest and honest. Sometimes you have to take a gig to take a gig.
Right.
But if it doesn't stand with you or if it doesn't sit with you morally or spiritually or for whatever reason, you don't have to do what you don't want to do. It's totally okay. I would always seek mentorship.
Okay.
Know that you're not alone out here. There's always plenty of people who they might not be famous, quote unquote,
They don't need to be.
but yeah, they might be just as knowledgeable as the next person, or they could even be mentors to you. I have a great mentor. His name's Eric Wyatt. He's a great tenor saxophonist, and they call him the mayor of Brooklyn.
Okay.
Over there. And he was a mentor to some names that you might know, like Robert Glasper or Theo Croker or Chicago Day, all great and astounding musicians. And I really appreciate folks like him, as well as Rodney Whitaker and just everyone that's been able to look out for me.
I like you said the way you said that, because you brought up something I remember. Every now and then, I used to play saxophone. I used to play alto saxophone and baritone saxophone.
That's right.
And I've always been a small person, so when I was playing baritone saxophone, my hands were practically on the floor playing baritone saxophone. But you're right, it shouldn't always be about being a named person. It's just that maybe you want to have fun and have music in your life. So I like that. But you're right, mentors come in all various shapes, sizes, walks of life, and that's important.
Yeah, sometimes they're not even musicians. I met plenty of doctors that have shown me a lot about the business and about music, as well as psychologists, painters.
Do you work with other artists when you develop your work?
I do, yeah. I've collaborated with a few folks. Theo Croker is one to name, Rodney Whitaker. I've just recorded with Maurice Brown. There's a Christmas album that's going to be released tomorrow, actually. So
congratulations!
Thank you. Yeah. It's actually Maurice's project. I'm honored to be featured on it. But yeah, you could stream that everywhere.
Okay.
Or you could buy it.
Okay.
That works too.
Okay. No, but that's nice, because people don't realize collaboration is important when you're in the creative arts. You just don't know who you will meet and how minds think, and they come together. So that's good to know. And this is your first Christmas album?
It's not my Christmas album again. But
you're featured, though.
Yes, this would be the second time I was featured on a Christmas project. The first time I was featured with Rodney Whitaker, and I think the record was called A Cranbrook Christmas. So yeah, Cranbrook Christ Church Christmas, I believe. Yeah.
Okay.
And I sing two songs. I love the winter weather, and it's easy to blame the weather.
Ooh, that's an interesting title.
yeah. So those two tunes, and with the release of the record tomorrow, I'm featured on one track, and I do background vocals for another track on Maurice Brown's project. But yeah, I'll let you guys look that one up. I hope you guys are surprised with what you hear. It's a little different.
Okay. All right. We need that. We need a little different these days. It's great to do traditional music, but it's nice to incorporate new vibes, new music, new songs. So that's very good. So tell us, what was it like to participate in that Sarah International competition?
That was an astounding experience. I loved every second of it.
Wow.
It reminded me as to why I actually do music, and why do I think it's important for me to be in this space, be in this field, be a part of this legacy, to be a part of Sarah Vaughan's legacy. And the whole experience was very inspiring. I think it had me thinking more about just my place in the music and what I can do to spread the music, and who this affects. Being a winner is great, but what does that mean for everyone else that is seeing that, or anyone else that hopes to participate in that themselves? And I'm so inspired by all those great women that I was singing alongside with or competing against, quote unquote.
Yes.
But they all had so much class, and they all have extremely beautiful styles and flair. So I'm very thankful for these folks. Emma Smith, Bianca Love, Kepin Quelle, and Darren Dean.
And you remembered every name.
Of course, they're all. I was actually checking out a few of them for years before I started singing. I only started singing when I was a senior in high school, but then I was checking out. I did this program called Young Arts.
Okay.
So that was a national competition for I think high schoolers and younger. But here I see a clip of Darren Dean singing, what was it, Sophisticated Lady. And that's how I learned that song, by listening to her recording, and then she got me curious about all these other singers. So
wow.
it was a very beautiful experience getting to hear voices that I was familiar with and inspired by for years, but I never actually got to meet in person.
Wow, that must have been nice.
Yeah, that was huge. So I'm so appreciative for this opportunity of bringing all these great artists together. Just one. And now that we all know each other, I hope that we can collaborate in the future.
And stay in touch with each other, too, because that's important as well.
Of course, yeah. To win a competition is one thing, but we all win when we all celebrate this music that we all love and hold so dearly.
Wow, you're inspiring me to check out now all of these singers
For sure.
and hearing their voices, because it's about the voice. I mean, we've lost a lot of fabulous singers in this country over the years, and you know, it's about the voice and hearing it. And I like hearing singers where you understand all of the words.
Right.
And you know what they are saying. And you can appreciate it because it's not just the song, not the singer, but the song itself, because the words can be just as inspiring, moving, and you know, if you don't get to hear these words, then, you know, you've lost out, you know, in life. So I'm glad to hear that. So how many women did you compete against? 4 to 5 different women?
Yes, so there were 4 women that were part of the competition this year, and I was the 5th contestant and only male.
Wow, that must have been quite an experience, and you pulled that out. So I know you got your gig in Washington Heights. Are there any other plans that you have?
Yes, next week I have 2 things. So there is a program called Music on the Inside. That's basically where all these world-class artists, such as like Paquito de Rivera, Alfonso Horn, Helen Sung, they're all participating in this program to help give back and give music to folks that are in the the imprisonment. They are in prison. So I think music is a healing and rehabilitating thing. And with that, I'll be playing a benefit concert to help support their cause of bringing music to the inside. So Music on the Inside. So we're doing a benefit concert on Sunday. Also next week for 3 nights, I believe it's the 15th, I'm a part of Jazz at Lincoln Center's Future of Jazz Orchestra.
That's nice.
Yes. And I'll be singing alongside with that group. And we're going to be doing a collaboration with the Alvin Ailey Company, that dance company.
Oh, wow.
Right. So they'll be doing a number of excerpts. So I hope you guys come out to that. It's going to be a really great time. That's going to be at City Center, I believe.
That is, now that is cool. I got to meet him.
You met Alvin Ailey?
Before he died.
Oh, wow.
Just before he died. It was on 8th Avenue. I don't know where he was coming from. And I saw him, and I ran after him.
That's awesome.
I ran after him. I had to meet him. I had to meet him. And it was just like, I just had to do that. I also knew Arthur Mitchell. And I knew Arthur Mitchell because of his mother.
Oh, wow. How do you know?
Because Mrs. Minnie Mitchell was a friend of my grandmother.
Wow.
And she would visit our house very often, and I had to call her Mrs. Minnie Mitchell. And so I got to know her. She never bragged about her son, like trying to take advantage of his fame. And then when she passed away and it was brought up, I said, wait a minute, hold up. Arthur Mitchell? And everyone didn't know who he was. I said, do you know who Arthur Mitchell is? And I was just like, he's the founder of the Dance Theater of Harlem. And then it was like I got a chance to meet him and tell him how I knew his mother and talk to him about it. It was a wonderful, wonderful moment that we had. But, oh, yeah, Alvin Ailey, legendary.
Legendary.
Now, you want to talk about Americana.
Right.
That's real Americana there.
Talk about it.
Oh, all you have to do is think about Revelations, and that's all you need to know. Oh, that's great. So are you going to be singing excerpts of their ballets or new works?
Yeah, these are old works. So I think, from my understanding, the Alvin Ailey Company does these same dance excerpts, I think, once a year?
Yes.
Okay.
At City Center.
At City Center. So, yeah, we're going to be performing that show again. And to be a part of that legacy and collaborate with dancers, which is something that I love to do. I love seeing our music and movement come into one space. I think that's very important. Yeah, I'm very honored and I'm excited for the.
Oh God, that's exciting. Are you going to do Revelations or maybe Cry?
Ooh, I'll keep it a surprise. I'll keep it a surprise. I think you have to
Okay.
get a ticket. Check out the
Okay.
Alvin Ailey website.
Okay,
Or
because
we could probably.
Cry is the reason I
Mhm.
fell in love with Judith Jamison
Oh wow.
as a dancer. And I thought that was the most beautiful thing I had ever seen. Because years ago, it was PBS. That's what you watched to get culture.
Mhm.
And I saw them on PBS. And all these brown women with white, suits on and skirts. And they're flowing. And I fell in love with Alvin Ailey from that moment.
Mm.
So, you are being blessed right there. Oh, this is great. This is wonderful for you. So, I mean, I think, this was a great time. I think we're almost ready to wrap up, correctly? And I just want to say it was such an honor to meet you and talk with you and to learn about everything that you are doing. I look forward to keeping up with you.
As do I. I appreciate that.
And to be so young, to have such an appreciation of the music, I think it's just really inspiring because I worry sometimes. I know this is the 50th anniversary year for hip hop, and it has a place in Americana as well. But I still prefer, these beautiful ballads that are sung and songs that are written. And I feel there's a place for that, too. We need more balance so that way we can understand the breadth of Americana music and especially Black Americana music. Wouldn't you agree?
Of course, yeah. This is young people's music. Tony Williams was 16 when he joined Miles Davis's band. I believe Lee Morgan was 16 when he recorded with John Coltrane, who was, I think, 30 at the time of recording his first album as a leader. But, this is music for everyone.
Everyone.
All ages, all groups, all creeds, all cultures. This is our music.
Yes.
Yes. It was made by Black folks.
Yes.
But it is everybody's
It's
music.
everybody's music, too. Well, thank you so much, Tyreek. I
Thank
had
you.
a great time. And I want to give a shout out to April, who made the introduction.
Oh, yes. Thank you, April.
I appreciate what she did. So this is the end of our program, and thank you so very, very much.